Hey everybody, Justin Worden, you're watching What's New in Electronics. We are here at IPC Apex 2024 in Anaheim, California. I'm with John. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Justin. How are you?
Oh man, it's great to have you in here.
It's nice to sit down.
Yeah, right?
Frankly.
Yeah, I've been sitting down quite a bit. We've been doing a few of these interviews, but man, if I knew you were wearing green, I would have wore a color to match,
Thank you,
man.
yes.
But no, that's your color. Checksum. Tell us about what you guys got going on right now.
Yeah, thanks. So Checksum is a board test company. We sell in-circuit testers, part programmers, functional testers, and we're all about doing things in parallel so that our customers can keep up with these fast SMT lines that we've got out there.
Well, not only are they fast, I mean, speed is money, so they're trying to pump out boards as fast as they can, but the boards are changing.
Boards are changing.
And I'm sure that's making your life a little more, at least making their life more difficult,
It's actually making
right?
it great for us. So because we do things in parallel, we can keep up with these faster lines, and the lines, as you say, are making the lines are smaller, the boards are smaller, sorry, so they're making a whole bunch of boards that need to cause problems for people. So a bunch of small boards takes a ton of time to test, and the lines are way faster than the test process is, the traditional test process.
Well, not only are they smaller, they're panelizing everything, right?
Yeah.
So you're not just, it's not like one board, it's 30 boards,
yeah,
40 boards, 50 boards.
Right, and so the traditional test process is doing a lot of stuff one at a time, and what we've been able to do is build parallel test technologies so we can do 10 at a time, 30 at a time, 50 at a time, and that is really driving, customers to be able to keep up and do a process check, because test, we got fantastic technologies out there. People are doing 98% first pass yield. They're making great boards. So the issue is we want to make sure that process is working, and if we're not doing that in real time, if we're testing yesterday's boards, what are you going to do about those 5,000 boards you just made? You got a problem. And so keeping up really matters.
Well, not only keeping up, I mean, no one wants to sit on inventory because it's money, right? So I tend to steer a lot of these conversations back to the financial side of things too, because, yes, their 98% is going through fine. But if that 2% gets out the door, think of what that does to a business.
Oh no, it's huge. Our biggest market is automotive. And in automotive, not only do you have, huge costs if you got problems. The further it goes, the more cost there is. Recalls are obviously a huge problem. But the other problem is that with many of the boards, especially the ADAS, the safety-related boards, they're not going to let them be reworked. So if you just put one capacitor on there that's wrong, one little mistake in the manufacturing line, those are scrapped. And so that's a big dollar problem. And you just missed your deadline, you missed your shipment. So, double problem.
And with that scenario, you're just kind of looking at it from, the cost of the board perspective. But I mean, with the reliability issues we're getting into with electronic vehicles, and obviously you have the class 4, the aerospace, the military, all that. But I mean, if one of those boards get out the door, not only can that be detrimental in some case, but that could be the end of the business.
No, it's a huge issue, and that's why they're not letting anybody rework boards, because a rework board is different than the other boards, right? We're working on these processes to make sure we're doing exactly the same thing to every board, but then all of a sudden, if you need to rework one, it's got a whole different, set of issues. So nobody trusts that.
So let's look at it from an investment standpoint, right? So obviously, this is a product or a service that you're bringing in that many people may not be used to using or using, because again, like you said, we have this weird crossroads with the industry where a lot of people are stuck between, do I keep doing it the way I did 20 years ago and try to keep up with today's board, and it works.
Mostly.
And that's the thing. This isn't an industry of mostly working. It doesn't pass the test. No. So you got to be 100%.
And every customer ought to be doing ROIs on these things. They ought to they got to look at it. In test, the issue is if test doesn't keep up, you have a tremendous amount of cost. So, for instance, you end up having to buy a bunch of functional testers. So you got a person, maybe doing 2 shifts worth of people. How much does that labor cost? If you're breaking things up and you're testing one board at a time, it takes about 10 seconds for a person to put a board on a tester and then take it off. There's no value add there. There's no test even done. That's just a person. So if you can do that on a panel, 10 at a time, you're saving a tremendous amount of cost with labor and with the equipment.
Well, that's a very interesting point, right? So when we talk about the financial investment, you got the initial investment, which is just the cost of whatever you're buying. I'm not just going to say your particular product. But then you have the ongoing cost, and that's where you get the ROI, right? I mean, and we're not in the business of replacing labor, because I think that's what a lot of people think about when you think of test equipment and automation, and data and AI, they think, oh, well, we're replacing labor. Not in this industry. There's not enough labor to keep up. This is just an additional resource to make your product that much better.
And the faster you go, the more product you get out the door on that asset that you bought, that line that you bought for $4 million that you want to fly, let it fly. But if your test is slowing it down, that's a dumb reason to slow down. That's a dumb reason to not get all your production out. And so test has got to keep up you have to treat it like it's a part of the line.
So, I mean, I'm sure you do a wonderful job presenting this, and you got me convinced, right? But there's still some people that just don't want to change the way they've done it for the last 20 years.
Well, I think that there's two challenges there. One is that there are many senior people in the electronics industry who don't understand the test technology, and they're nervous, and rightly so. Nobody wants to create bad product, right? So sticking with the thing that's worked for you for a long time, that's a safe play. People see that as a safe play. They don't necessarily see the challenges that they're putting themselves in. If they can't keep up with their line, they're creating a whole host of other things. And it's just which problems do you want to have? The ones you're willing to admit to, or the ones that you're not willing to admit to?
Yeah, and they get caught up in that initial expense. Changing the process is fearful. Change is fearful. And they're not looking at the potential that it unleashes.
And if you're a test engineers are notoriously conservative. That's why they're great at what they do, right? So change is difficult. And so you have to go about a process where, our mantra is always prove it. We'll prove it. Like we're not asking you to just believe that this is better. We're telling you we can test all 16 of those boards at once. This boom, 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 and let's go, let's prove it. And here are the times we can do it. And so that's going to make your line keep up, and that'll solve these other problems you've got. And so when they see it, then they begin to believe it. But they're naturally, they're naturally conservative, and they've got to go and convince. Then they can tell those senior people, yes, we believe this. This is a way to help us produce, at a higher volume.
Well, I can tell you want to prove it, and I think there's people watching this right now, or when it goes live, and they're going to want to say, prove it. How do they get a hold of you?
They get a hold of us at Checksum.com, and we would love to talk to any electronics producers out there. Thanks a lot,
John.
Justin.
Hey, thank you so
Appreciate it.
much. That was great.
Thanks.